And good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this very special presentation here on the Jeff Meacham Network, as well as one of the rare times you'll see this stuff on my personal Facebook because it's not wrestling, so I can get away with it. Joining me to my my left on screen and my left in reality here, Braden Timmons. Is that how you say your name, sir? When I get it right, because I didn't get it right on Twitter this morning because I'm a jackass. Jesus.
That is how you say it. Yes.
Beautiful.
Yes.
And I happened upon this amazing project you've put together, and we'll definitely get deep dive into it here in just a moment. Not too long ago, unfortunately, way deep into the campaign, but I was able to get my quote unquote perk and get a perk for my son's mother, who really brought me into this crazy world that Michael Myers inhabits. And I found such like there's so much to talk about on this project because, you know, you being a fan, like I being a fan, there was so much left unsaid at the end of the 1998 film Halloween H2O that got nowhere near picked up in Resurrection. And your project is definitely going to help, even non-canonically, change that in the fans' eyes. And I just applaud you enormously for that. So thank you on behalf of even us new age Halloween fans for helping us get John's story finally brought to completion. We thank you so much for that, man.
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, this is a project that I was very excited about when we initially started it. You know, when we were looking at, because we did a short Halloween fan film back in 2018, and it was shortly after Halloween 2018 came out. Like literally, it was just a group of us. We just used some of our friends, took our iPhone, made like a short little movie, and we had a blast doing it. Like, and we released it on Halloween of 2018. And then like our idea was to do something, like we had so much fun doing it. We wanted to do something that was going to be even bigger. And we weren't sure how we were going to go about doing it. So while I was actually looking for ideas, like I was just watching the franchise movies and everything, and I was just looking for different ideas, like for kills and to see what Michael, you know, had used in the past and whatnot. And then I was watching Halloween H2O one day, and it just kind of like clicked. I don't know what it was. Like I was just watching H2O, and I'm like, nobody's ever followed up on John Tate's story. I'm like,
yeah,
I'm like, that would be really interesting. I paused it like midway through the movie, and I texted one of our producers and one of my buddies who's helping produce the movie. And I was like, dude, what if we did a sequel to Halloween H2O? And he texted me and was like, dude. And then he like sent me like all caps. He it was like, dude, ... And then it was like, dude.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So
it's the whole
shot
moment, dude, and off we go. Boom, there it is.
So, yeah. Exactly. So, go ahead.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
No, yeah. So I was just saying, like, you know, we had a meeting and like we just kind of started talking about like where we would go with the story, and I had the initial concept of the story done. Like, so like I was like, okay, this is what the synopsis is going to be, which is the exact synopsis that you can find now on IMDb and on the Facebook page and everything. So the synopsis is what I pitched to my my buddies and my team, and they just loved it. So we essentially started to kind of really structure it from the ground up, and we're like, okay, this is where it's going to take place. Like, you know, how do we get John to come to Haddonfield and everything? Like, how is it that he gets to Haddonfield from Summer Glen, California? There's a lot of pieces that just need to kind of be put together, and, you know, you'll find that out when you see the movie. So, you know, there's just a lot of different things that we kind of had to piece together. Like, even though I wrote the script, I honestly couldn't have written the script without my buddies and my team kind of supporting me along the way, like just with me sending them the script and being like, hey, can you read this? Can you give me feedback on it? What do you think as a Halloween H2O fan? Do you think that this is okay for John? Do you think that this is okay, like, for Michael and everything? Like, we just really kind of hit it really hard. And it's something that, I mean, we're still even working on today, obviously, because the movie's not out yet. So it's been almost, by the time that it comes out later this year, it will have been about 2 years and 2 months that we've been working on it. So it's been quite the process, but I think it's going to be worth it.
Yeah, it's funny. We were talking off air before we came on about my my former, full-time chief of podcast, my buddy Aaron, who got me into the podcast and really gave me my crash course on Halloween. We talked about his favorite was Halloween 2. Dude, Aaron, all of us would love to see where they went once that ambulance rode off into the sunset, because as far as we're concerned, Loomis and Michael are dead. So where do we go from 2? That would be and correct me if I'm wrong. I think the real issue with sequeling 2 is recasting Jamie Lee, because that's like the worst thing that any of us have to try to do, is try to find somebody to play Laurie that's not Jamie Lee Curtis, because oh my God, is that a bitch.
Yeah. I mean, because I know like H2O obviously picked up after Halloween 2, but it was just 20 years after the events of Halloween 2, right? So you're saying that you want to see a sequel that pretty much takes place like maybe a year after that, and seeing like what Myers did maybe after. Yeah, no, I get that. I can see fans potentially wanting to see that. Yeah,
kind of the same vein of what Rob did, where they did like a brief little like tribute to 2 in the dream thing with the hospital, and then boom, a year later. So I would love to see a fan film. There's so many fan films and so many different things out there, because there is so much love for this franchise. And like I told you out there, and like a lot of you that have been fans of mine my entire career know, I am not a horror person at all. I didn't see Halloween until H2O, and that was when I was dating my son's mom in the mid 2000s. So it had already been out for 10 years as it was. And it really wasn't until 2018's movie started to really kick into high gear promotionally. I'm like, you know what? This really seems like it's a big deal. Maybe I should go find out why it's a big deal. And then as 2018's release was approaching, I started watching the franchise and went, wow, these are really good. And I was able, unlike a lot of Halloween fans that I've noticed over the last, almost 3 years now, there's good in pretty much all of these. Like even if you can't stand any of the actual sequel to H2O, Resurrection, there's still some decent moments in there where it's like, okay, I can see where they kind of could have left this in and then not done like 35% of it, whatever. Like that's, again, I try to stay optimistic, but there is a lot of good, there is a lot of bad in all this. That's why Halloween is such a notorious franchise, because there's so much polarizing topics in the franchise. Aaron, I don't think H2O ignored 1981's 2, because they kept the sibling thing intact. And I know they say he hasn't been seen for 20 years, and I get that, but if you think about it, 1981's part 2 takes place in 1978, the same night. So I don't think it ignores it. It just kind of doesn't embellish every single element of part 2. I guess, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, the beginning of Halloween H2O, like when the detectives are going through the house after Marion Chambers gets killed in the beginning by Michael, like they're saying that like, they never found his body like in the Haddonfield fire from Haddonfield Memorial. So it picks up just 22 years, or not 22. I'm thinking of like, I'm saying 22 because that's when the Haddonfield Nightmare picks up after H2O. It picks up, that picks up 20 years after the events of 2. So, and I mean, like, just kind of paying attention to the writing as somebody that had to kind of go back and really listen in on everything, from H2O. It was very interesting to kind of like hear all that and just kind of like take in like, okay, the writing in this movie is actually really good. The one thing that I don't like about H2O that we're really trying to prioritize on in the Haddonfield Nightmare is bringing back that Halloween atmosphere. Like H2O does not have a Halloween atmosphere to it. I feel like it feels more like a Scream movie, because that's like around the time Dimension Films had Scream and Scream 2 coming out. So the one thing, and I'm glad that, the fans of like Haddonfield Nightmare so far, from what I've seen in reactions, like, you know, the one thing that they're all really appreciating is the fact that we're kind of bringing back that classic Halloween atmosphere. That's something that's very important to our team, and, you know, it's something that we're taking a lot of pride into doing.
Well, it's not a, you know, the worst, it's the worst case secret Hollywood that Kevin Williamson was heavily involved in H2O, and he's the Scream guy. So, you know, it's, and again, Kevin's treatment is ridiculously good. I'm not even going to front. It's really, really good. It's just that, you know, like you said, it's very much a Scream-like movie. Like, and matter of fact, they use, you know, a clip of Scream 2 in the scene with Will and the girls, which it's like, oh, geez, are we really getting that, like, freaking in the universe? Come on, guys. Geez, I found it funny. So you mentioned getting back to Halloween's, you know, roots and making a Halloween atmosphere, and I love the part on your Indiegogo. Again, you know, there's where you go. This is to help fund post-production. I know this is pre-production there. That was I realized it's no logo and I look at that, but they're getting to post-production, guys. We're down to like last couple days here, end of the week, right?
Yeah. So we have 2 days left. We still have a lot of perks left to claim. If you guys want to get a Blu-ray, DVD, or just back us, you know, all the support is greatly appreciated. We are at about 54. It looks like that we're on track to hit like maybe 60% of our goal, which would be awesome. You know, I mean, even being over 50%, you know, is great. We're trying to hit, of course, $10,000 to, you know, finish up just the rest of production, because we actually go back into production, on April 9th. So next Friday we start filming again, and literally by the end of this month, pretty much 99% of it is going to be like shot. Then we'll just have like one tiny thing that we're going to have to bring the actors back for this summer. And it's just based on one of the houses that we used like back in the fall. So we just have to bring everyone back this summer. But I mean, pretty much like we're already going to be heavy into the editing of the film, and our composer is going to be getting, because I don't know if you know this or not, Jeff, but we have an original composer like making the soundtrack for the movie as well.
Oh, that's
so
awesome.
so all the music is going to be completely original in the film also.
Yeah.
And then, Adrian Emond, I got to give him a shout out, because he's actually responsible for doing the music for the first 2 teasers also. So got to give him a shout out. He is absolutely awesome. And we've been very lucky to have him on board our project. But yeah, so we will be filming throughout April again. And then the rest of the money will be used for the post-production stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy how close our worlds are colliding, because you guys go back April 9th, Friday. The next day is night 1 of WrestleMania. So this is the most bonkers like week and a half, 2 weeks of our collective lives right now. I swear to God. So before I get into the setting, because the setting you chose is just amazing. I can't even wait to show the pictures. A big Halloween fan, a good friend of the channel, good friend of mine, dear friend of mine, Caitlin asks, is anyone allowed to use the likeness of Michael Myers, or did you guys have to pay for that? How did that come? Like, yeah, again, that's a great question for any fan film of Michael. How far do you get to go before Universal, Blumhouse, John's going, excuse me?
That is a great question, and it's one that we get asked, you know, a lot. But obviously, fan films are more popular today than they've ever been, you know, in the history of the world. I mean, and it's not even just our fan film, but there are several Friday the 13th fan films that are, you know, being made and have been made. There's It's Me, Billy, who's from Dave McRae, which is a Black Christmas follow-up. It's an unofficial sequel to the Black Christmas movie. Charles, for the Chucky fan film that's coming. And then, of course, Halloween Night, which is another really great fan film that came out last year. But when it comes down to all these characters and these franchises, you are able as a fan to create a fan film as long as it is made for a reasonable budget and you don't act like you are the real thing. Now, of course, with us being like, you know, fans, we obviously want to make, because fan films are really great ways to showcase filmmakers' work. It's a great way to show, you know, their love for franchises and everything. But when it comes down to the character of Michael Myers, we have the right as fans to be able to use this character as long as we're not overstepping our budget or anything like that. I think as of right now, the Haddonfield Nightmare has been made for, like, I was looking at the total funds from our 3 campaigns. We made the film for about $15,000, which is a reasonable budget. You know, like it's really when in a situation like for a fan film, it was a Star Trek follow-up, or it was called Star Trek Pickard. That actually raised over $1 million on YouTube, and that's when the studio stepped in and was like, okay, like we have to shut this down. It's if you're raising like that kind of money, like to produce a film like that, that's when studios are like, okay, like we're not going to allow that. But other than that, as long as they're made for a reasonable budget, and you know, again, like as long as you tag it as a Halloween fan film, which we've done on like all of our trailers and everything, like it says the Haddonfield Nightmare, a Halloween fan film, and everything, as long as you tag it as what it is, then the studios, they won't interfere. They'll see it as a free marketing, you know, piece, as, you know, for their franchise. And honestly, I think that it's just different ways to keep the character alive, as well. So that's a great question though. But I have gotten asked that, you know, multiple times. Like, you know, people are just like, you know, Braden, like, you know, tell me like how are you able to do stuff like this? And that's exactly how we're able to do that. So
that's awesome. Yeah, Caitlin, I appreciate you asking that, because I actually had that question myself. I just didn't know how to word it. So thank you, doll. I appreciate that very much. It's funny, you know, one of the perks that I noticed, and I just, you know, my pocketbook went, oh my God, when I saw it, because of the amount it takes to get this perk. But man, the detail you guys went into on the mask. And yeah, remember, this is very much in the same vein of 18, where the mask is distressed at this point, 22 years. So how'd you guys get from, you know, Mr. 78 here to this guy? Like who was the guy, the person conceptualizing, okay, here's what he's going to look like now that he's been, you know, for lack of a better term, in hiding for 22 years, or on the run, or however it's going to play out. And no spoilers, obviously, but you know.
Yeah. So when it comes down to the mask, I wanted, because this is a weathered H2O mask, of course, right? So his mask looked very different in Halloween H2O than it did in Halloween 1 or Halloween 2. So obviously with us wanting to keep the continuity, that was very important. I knew that I wanted to use the Halloween H2O mask. And then I was just like, but it would be really cool if we can like have it weathered, you know, like, because it takes place 22 years later. I want this Myers to actually look scary. The H2O mask has honestly grown on me a lot. I know that some fans they completely hate it. They despise it. But after seeing this mask and like what we've been able to come up with, people are like, okay, I'm like finding a new love for the H2O mask. Right. So this idea I brought to my team, and then I also brought it to a buddy of mine through Facebook, Sean Cadwick. I saw that he had a really authentic looking Halloween H2O mask. Like it looked literally picture perfect, like from the movie. And I reached out to him and I was like, hey man, can you tell me like where you got this mask? And he told me, and it was from a company called Father Phantom Studio. They're a UK based mask company. And I reached out to them and I told them the idea for this mask, and what I wanted to do with them. Now, I only told them the idea. They had all the free reign to create a mask piece that they wanted to create. So they're actually the main creators of this mask. I just told them the idea, and then they sculpted it from the ground up. So they just kind of like molded it. They started putting the cracks in it. I have like behind the scenes pictures of like the updates, like from what they were sending me. And like, I just got chills, like looking at these pictures as they were saying. I was like, oh, I can't wait for it to be done. So as I kept seeing like, you know, the progress on it, after I saw the pictures, I just had to kind of like shut my brain off and just kind of be like, yeah, that's their website right there. Thank you for linking them. What do you call it? Like, I just had to shut my brain off and just be like, yeah, I don't want to think about it. I just want to wait for them to send it. And then they sent what the final product looked like. And my jaw about hit the ground.
Right.
Like, I mean, they sent me these pictures and I was just like, oh yeah. I was like, this is exactly, you know, what we were looking for, because I was kind of like, it would be really cool to kind of have it look like it does actually look like the Rob Zombie mask in a way, you know, with all the cracks and everything.
Yeah, when I've been unnecessarily and rather stupidly, to be honest with you, like going into like, okay, I want to have a version of each Myers mask to have to, you know, change in and out of on a given Halloween. Well, Jesus, Rob changes the damn look of the mask many friggin' times over the 2 movies. Like, but I found an Etsy seller, couldn't tell you the name right now, and I apologize for that if you're watching. God help me if you are. They make like each version. There's like 7 different masks on that Etsy site. I go, you know, they're not wrong with Rob's version, because man, that thing evolves like a damn evolutionary chart in that movie, in those 2 movies. Holy crap! But yeah, yeah, you know, there's the quote unquote 2 versions of the H2O mask that people are so polarized on. Then there's that dreaded CGI thing they use in that one scene. But I love that you like, okay, this is an H2O sequel. We're gonna weather the H2O mask, and like you said, the Father Phantom guys did an amazing job. And remember, the one you're seeing here is a replica. The one you guys used ended up on the DVD and Blu-ray covers. I mean, that's Michael. It's Michael, man. It looks so good on the covers, and you know, like you said, he's up here above my head. He looks so good. I'm thoroughly impressed.
Yeah, no, that was like that was the goal. And like, yeah, as you'll see in this shot, like how his eyes are kind of like black. You know what I mean? Like in Halloween H2O, you can see Myers's eyes. The way that we're lighting him, like you might see his eyes like at like sometimes in the Haddonfield Nightmare, but the lighting is meant to make sure that you can't see his eyes, especially like in a mask like this. You know, I just think that he just looks ready to go. Like he's standing there in the kitchen with, you know, a butcher knife in his hand. You know, that was like one of those shots that like I saw on our editing drive, and I screenshotted it and sent it to our team, and like they just sent me back completely great things to say regarding that, just that shot alone. So, you know, I'm really excited to, you know, be able to showcase this stuff. Like when, like, it's just the buildup, you know what I mean? Like as the filmmaker, as the person, you know, that's kind of like, you know, been a big part of like the overall process of the movie. I'm excited for everybody to see it later on this year. You know, I just can't wait to see the feedback. And, you know, this being my first feature film, because this is going to be a feature length Halloween fan film. We just didn't feel like we would be able to cover like, you know, the like story within a short film for an H2O sequel. So this is going to be a feature length. This is my first feature length movie, and I've just learned so much from doing this. I love the process, even though it's very, very tiring. It's exhausting. There are some nights where you're up until like 4 a.m, and then you sleep until 8, and then you're up at 8 and you're doing stuff again. So it is a very, very tiring process. But, you know, it's just, we have like, you know, it's not to say that, you know, mistakes aren't going to be made. So, you know, when people go into this movie, I hope that they watch this in a way to where like they give constructive feedback as to, you know, what they like, what they didn't like, how we can improve, you know, for the next one. Because like, you know, I'm not going into this movie thinking it's going to be, you know, perfect. Now, is that every filmmaker's dream? Yes. Like they want their films to be absolutely perfect. But I'm going into it with the sense that, you know, like there are going to be, you know, some things that maybe could have been worked on, but like that's like what I'm excited to kind of hear. I'm excited to hear like what people like, what they didn't like, and what we can do for, you know, the next film that we do. So yeah.
Tell us about Bat Productions. Where did, like, was that formed based on the need to have a full team to do this, or where did that come from?
So Bat Productions started, I had wanted to own my own film production company for the longest time. So in 2018, I started just the title, and my sister, who actually majored in film and television in college, she's the only one in the family that actually majored in that. And then she got her master's in, she got her MBA. So she got her master's in business administration. I just personally, like throughout college, I would always just, you know, like work on, because she wants to be a movie producer. So she's actually one of our producers on the movie as well. So she also created our logo, the Bat Productions logo that you see now. So she created that. And then what do you call it? It was really during my time as a graduate student. I got my master's in management organizational behavior, and I took a marketing class. And that's when we started really forming everything. It was like throughout that time, like as a business, like graduate student, that I started kind of constructing the company, because I had my professors help me. I had classmates help me, like on the marketing project that we did for Bat Productions. So that's when everything really got started, and it kind of started becoming a real thing. So it was always an idea, but really this year is like when we officially became like a company, even though it had been like, it had had its name for a couple of years. And yeah, it's just kind of been a slow process, but we figured that if we're going to be doing a movie like this and we want to really kind of construct what our lineup of films is going to be for the next couple of years, then we need to have like our company. So, you know, we started building everything. Like you could visit us on our website, bat-productions.com, to kind of keep in the loop with all of our films that are up and coming. It's really great to, you know, just have all that information out there now. So
yeah, it's and like I said, I can't even. There's so much just on the Indiegogo, and not like it lays out everything. Okay, here's a synopsis. Here's what we've got. Here's who's involved. And I kind of wanted to just briefly go through like kind of all the images, but like I said, I wanted to talk about the setting, because you mentioned a little while ago about getting Michael back to his roots, getting Halloween back to its proper setting. And you are so correct. No Halloween film, with the exception of the first Rob Zombie film, really goes into Smith's Grove and really gets up in that place and just goes to town. And your film is going to do that, from what I can surmise, and I love that. And the place you chose to represent Smith's Grove, it just looks fabulous. It's so artistic, and so there's so many stylistic things that are about this site that are great. Up at Old Joliet Prison, just wow, like it looks so good. Braden, tell me about this place.
Yeah, so Old Joliet Prison is literally only maybe 25 minutes from my house where I currently live. And we this wasn't our original site. We had an original site. It was actually going to be another abandoned prison, but we found out like literally the day that we were starting to film. We were actually supposed to film there on day one.
Oh, wow.
And we got told that we couldn't film there anymore.
Oh.
I got that call that morning. This was September the 18th of 2020. And I literally was like completely shattered. What was supposed to be a day of, you know, just awesomeness and excitement, you know, getting ready to get out there, just became a day of just stress filled, you know, just tension, and just like, you know, like I couldn't focus like by the time like we got out there that night, because it just made the production look, you know, so unprofessional and unorganized and everything, you know what I mean? So we got, what's that?
2020 strikes again.
Yeah, honestly, like I was just like, talk about such a shit show of a year, and then the day that we start production, this happens. So we ended up filming some exterior stuff that night, just with the actors that we had there, and luckily everybody was cool with it. It was very heartbreaking to have to say that in front of everybody, but you know, it had to be done. And then really when we kept filming, luckily we weren't going to be at the prison again for a little while. So I had to start kind of contacting the state of Illinois film office to kind of help and see if there's any way that they can, you know, get us in contact with any of the prisons. And of course, the Illinois film office reached back out to me, and they were like, well, because of COVID, none of the state facilities are open. However, you can reach out to the city of Joliet, because they're privately owned and they have all of the rights to the prison. So they're the ones that schedule tours and are in charge. It's part of the Joliet Historic Society.
Oh, nice.
So I reached out to them and explained to them our situation. And we got a meeting to where we were able to go out and visit the location, and we talked to them about it, and they loved the idea. And we were able to work something out to where, you know, we can shoot here. So we're going to be here for 4 nights in the month of April. And we actually kickstart off next Friday night here. Right. So we're really excited to get out here and, you know, start having this as one of our backdrops to showcase in the movie. So that's kind of how this came about. And I'm really excited because this movie is actually not new to show business. This is actually the site where the opening of the Blues Brothers filmed. This was actually where Prison Break's filmed. Public Enemies, which is a movie with Johnny Depp, Christian Bale. They filmed here. So yeah, like this has been showcased in a lot of different films, and we're really excited to have Haddonfield Nightmare added onto that list.
That's awesome. Like I you know what, I look at it, I go, that's a Blues Brothers, son of a bitch. Like I didn't even like like you said, it's like, how did I not see that? Like I love the Blues Brothers. Good grief, Jeff. Oh man. So tell me about this amazing team. Like there's such a huge list of names and graphics and pictures. Like you've got a huge staff assembled to get this thing realized and finished. And I'm sure there's just like you know, a great anecdote. I mean, your director of photography, Don Murphy, he just looks like he's like jazzed as hell, ready to get this done.
Oh man, let me tell you, Don, we brought on last summer. We were actually supposed to start filming this in the spring of 2020, but obviously when COVID hit, we had to bump production, and it was actually kind of a blessing in disguise because we found Don. We talked to Don about it. He got geeked out of his mind by the idea of this movie, and I'm telling you right now, everything that you see in the trailers right now is all his work. He's the one that's holding these cameras, and he's the one that's helping us line up these shots. And he is just doing an excellent job. And we're really excited to get him back out here next Friday to help out like more with the prison stuff. But yeah, he's amped out of his mind. Again, we brought him on this past summer. He has over 20 years of experience in the film industry. So yeah, this man knows his stuff. So
yeah, I love how he's got kind of a cross between Richard O'Brien and the Beelzebub beard going. I dig that. That's
yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah, no, and man, he's just he honestly is one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. Like he's so cool to hang out with on set. He really is a team player. Like the late nights, like he never complains about anything, like how late we're out there, because he just genuinely loves doing this. So you know, he really is a great guy to, you know, have on set and just to help us lead you know, the camera work that's being done on the movie.
It is great to have a guy like that in the role he's doing, because if you have a guy in that role that's kind of like saying, nah, whatever, that just drags everybody down. That's a bitch. So
yeah.
I'm gonna butcher this guy's name, so please do it for me, because I don't want to be that.
It's MISAEL BARRIENTOS, so we just call him MISAEL. That's what we call him.
Perfect.
So MISAEL, I've actually known since 3rd grade. We grew up together, loving movies, and you know, him and I, we kind of distanced like during college, but then like I'm happy we were able to reconnect. And you know, after I started my channel, he came on my channel to do some reviews with us. And everything, and it's just been an absolute, you know, blast getting to reconnect with him. And I told him that we were going to make something like the Haddonfield Nightmare, and he was all over it. And this, like, Bat Productions is kind of what got us to reconnect, you know, as friends. So you know, this is like, it's been awesome. But he is our assistant director of photography, so he assists Don with like whatever, because MISAEL wants to be like a full-fledged director of photography one day. So Don is kind of teaching him the ropes of like what it's like, you know, to be on a film set, and like the lenses and everything that he's doing. But MISAEL is also one of our producers. So
that's always great when you're on a project, you know, a labor of love, if you will, and you're getting a guy who just wants to be there and just learn and is a sponge. And that's awesome. It sounds like MISAEL's very much a sponge with Don. I love that. That's great. And then you got this cast. Like, it's so funny. As big a Halloween fan as people watching, and you know, you and I are, it's like I recognize one name on the cast name sheet. John Tate. Like everybody else, like, oh, okay, this isn't Molly, this isn't Ronnie, this isn't Norma. Who the hell are these people? So as much as you're willing to say about character A, let's go ahead and run it down here. John Tate, obviously, you know, originally Josh Hartnett's, you know, role, Laurie's son, who mysteriously vanished off the face of the earth in Resurrection, like we didn't see him. So, like I said, I love that you're bringing John's story back into our collective forefront, because, man, if I'm that guy, that lady's son, I'm going, dude, no. You're getting your ass whooped. This is terrible. So like, and the fact that you're my uncle, like that's some weird warped family dynamic crap that I can't even, you know, begin to do on Jerry Springer. It's terrible. So, so how has John evolved as we, you know, get ready to go back into Haddonfield with him? Like where is John, played by Peter here, in his head at this point?
So yeah, that's a great question. So you can slightly see, like, behind the scenes what he's been up to. We haven't officially, like, you know, announced what his, like, where he's at mentally. That's actually what our final trailer is going to cover. But he does come back to he comes over to Haddonfield. And he's living here. Throughout the cast, you'll probably also see that you see Lauren Tate. That's actually his daughter. So you'll see, you know, he has a daughter, Lauren. Yep, that's her, played by Kate Kelly.
Because it's like,
oh, go ahead.
Like, okay, we had Molly, and all of a sudden we have a person named Tate. I'm like, is that the wife? Is that the okay? So now we know. Very good, very good.
Yep. So that is his daughter. So he had a daughter. We will find out what actually happened, like, to Molly between the movies as well, because she's not part of the character list or anything. But we'll find out what happens to her. But John is pretty much, just to kind of go back to John. I will say that John is in a state where he is trying to get over, you know, the events that occurred in 1998. He's pretty much very much like, the best way I can describe his character is he's very much like a mix of Dr. Loomis and Laurie Strode combined into one character. So if people like Laurie Strode and they like Dr. Loomis, I think that they're really going to get a kick about where John Tate is mentally 22 years after the events of Halloween H2O. That's the best way I can describe his character without really going into any major details. That's great. All right, so we got his daughter and Kate Kelly. It's funny how much, like, okay, so you've got Peter playing John. Maybe it's just me. I think it's funny. Like, Kate kind of resembles Josh Hartnett a little bit in the eyes. From what maybe I'm seeing what I want to see. I don't know. And then you've got Alice BOZGA here, who plays Vanessa Cooper. Have we revealed anywhere on social media who Vanessa Cooper is in the story? Yeah, she is one of Lauren's really good friends. So she serves as Lauren's best friend. She's kind of known her since, you know, she was, you know, in middle school, and we kind of get some backstory throughout the movie with them and how long they've known each other. And they are in college together right now, because you'll probably see on, what do you call it, the campaign, we have Haddonfield University merchandise and everything. So they're in college, they attend Haddonfield University, and that's where Vanessa comes in. Okay, cool. I was going to ask where the HU stuff came from, because I obviously, you know, they were at Hillcrest, you know, in 98, because that's where John was going to school. By the way, I found it so ironic that we're doing this today. The site that portrayed Hillcrest went up for sale this morning. Did you see that online today? Yeah, I did see that. So that's actually really, really funny. If you got $40 million, come on down. They'll sell it to you. Yeah, yeah. Let me just get on that. Let me just pull out my checkbook and sign $40 million away.
Indiegogo round 4, and yeah.
Yeah.
Thing is, 40 million to get you shut down for sure.
Oh yeah.
So then we have CHRISTINA REIS. Is that, am I saying that right?
REIS.
REIS playing BECCA DAILEY. I'm assuming another friend of the daughter.
Yep. So pretty much like all of the other teenagers that you see on the cast is pretty much like they serve as like the main friend group.
The trio. Yeah.
Yep, they're pretty much all part of the adventure to come when Myers gets back into town. Some of them are gonna make it, some of them aren't gonna make it. So
now, the Myers movie, we can't all get out of the end of the movie. So it is what it
is. Exactly. So
this guy looks like he's gonna be like first in line. Like, okay, Myers gonna like, dude, I'm not even done dealing with your ass. It's just bye.
Yeah. CODY FAULK. So CODY actually is the director of Voorhees, which is another fan film. That's it's a Friday the 13th one that came out this past October. But so I had known CODY since he reached out to me to react to his trailer on my channel back in like 2018 or something like that. But so I've been in touch with CODY for a while, and I talked to him about the idea of coming aboard our project, and he was all for it. So he actually is also the one that got me in touch with Alice. So they are coming out here together to be a part of the movie. So him and I have some really great history, and we're excited that he's a part of it. But yes, I will say that his role is probably minute, but I'm not going to say what happens to him.
You butcher knife early, yes. So, and then Andrew CAWLEY here, who plays Jacob. He looks like he's a little bit older than the teenagers. Am I right there? Or?
No. He's actually he does look a lot different in his headshots than he actually does like on camera. I'll say that. He definitely looks younger on camera and in the film than he does in his headshots. But yeah, Andrew, he is one of him and Austin. So that's Austin's played by CODY. They're kind of like the comic reliefs, if you will, of the movie. Andrew is absolutely hilarious. Just looking at him, you probably can get more vibes from him than from CODY in terms of comedy, but CODY is more of like the douchey comedy. So yeah.
Then we have SHELBY. Oh wow, help me out here, brother.
Because SHELBY KOSONAVICH.
Yes, there you go.
She is playing Marie Ellington, just another, one of the friends that is going to be involved within the movie. She actually has a pretty integral role in the movie as well.
Yeah, she seems like you're, and again, I'm totally freaking guesstimating here because I have no idea what I'm going to see in a few months. But she seems like one of the the sweet, innocent final girl types. So I definitely see integral being attached to her for sure. Good word to use. I like that. Okay, so Chris Milligan, his name and his look sound familiar. Like I swear I've seen this guy before, but it's a fan film, so I could be way off. But he seems familiar.
Yeah, Chris. So he had been on like a world tour with the Wizard of Oz musical that went like around the world pre-COVID. So so he had been in New York and he had been like overseas doing it and everything. Unfortunately, though, due to scheduling and everything, I haven't updated this, but we actually recasted him. But him and I are in touch right now. We have a few more projects that are in development with Bat Productions. But this guy, just what I can say about him, he is incredibly talented. He was an excellent choice, for Chad, but just with scheduling and whatnot, we unfortunately had to go a different direction. And it's hard because he's coming out of state to be involved in the movie. But we do have an idea of what we want to do with him in the future, and we're talking to him right now. So don't be surprised if on a future Bat Productions project you see Chris Milligan pop up again.
That's what happens when you're live and don't prep the guest on your shit, Jeff. There you go.
No.
So Then we get into the responsible, clearly in charge of everything and under control adults of the film. It's a Halloween film. Yeah, right. We have Andre McGraw playing Officer Williams, who seems like he's such a happy-go-lucky officer, and just clearly it's not going to be the case because it's Haddonfield. So
Yeah. No, I think that where Haddonfield is at, especially when the first kill pops up in town, where Haddonfield is at mentally, the officers are they have all hands on deck, like, you know, because this is the first time something's popped up in over 20 years. And, you know, they're like, do you think that this has to do with, you know, Michael Myers? Officer Williams, there's actually a backstory with Officer Williams too. And he'll be explaining that him and John Tate have a scene together. And it's one of those really sweet moments where we get to find out about John, and then Officer Williams gives us a little backstory about him and his childhood, and how Michael Myers, you know, kind of affected him as a kid as well. So, because like obviously Officer Williams is now older, but in like 1978, he would have just been like a little boy, right? So it's like he'll like talk about how Myers, you know, had affected him, you know, growing up as well.
I very much get a Paul Rudd vibe from what you just said. So we'll see how it plays out. And again, curse is what it is. I like it, but you know. Anyway, then we get into DWAYNE Hayden, who plays the sheriff. And dude, if you're the sheriff of Haddonfield, you have the most thankless job in the history of law enforcement. My goodness. It's just that's a bit sure.
Yeah, and let me tell you right now, when we got Dwayne's audition tape, I mean, this was pretty much a lock-in.
Right?
Like we literally we were sitting like in our room, and we were watching the audition tapes, like, you know, for Sheriff Baker, and literally his audition tape just really, like, he popped up on screen. We're like, I wonder what this guy's gonna do, and then we looked, like, we saw his like acting and whatnot. And it was pretty much like his name bumped to like the top of the list for the role. He is amazing as Sheriff Baker. I think that he really owns every single scene that he's been in so far. We're really excited with some stuff that we're going to be doing with him in April. And you know, he's called me multiple times and just goes, dude, I'm so excited to get back out there, to like continue to shoot this thing, because we have some really exciting stuff coming up with him this month. So
that's incredible, man. And then we get into the these poor ladies that come into Haddonfield. Just these two. We've got Angela Roberts playing another officer, Officer Smith. So. Again, another law enforcement individual here. What's Officer Smith's role here?
So Officer Smith, so she actually plays an officer in 1998. So because the movie, I'll actually say, the movie opens on it opens the next night after Halloween H2O. It opens November 1st, 1998.
Oh, wow.
So that's where we're gonna figure out like what the story is going to be, and then we're gonna see where Myers, you know, ends up, and then like the story then like it jumps to the opening credits, and then it jumps 22 years later. So so Angela is actually going to be one of the first people that you see in the movie come film time. So
there you go. And finally, as far as on the Indiegogo cast sheet, we've got Mattea. Oh, here we go again. Help me out.
It's CHRISTINA.
Oh, okay. I actually would have been right. And Jen Harrison. I'm a friend of the other teenagers, or.
So she is actually she is a work friend of John Tate's. So they work together. And then I can't really say anything other than that. She works with John Tate. That's it.
Well, then you have me intrigued. So when I happened across the project, I'm like, okay, I definitely want to have the Blu-ray, because I have a little Blu-ray player over here, and it does wonder. And I have, you couldn't see it on. Can you see it on screen? You can't see it on screen, but just behind this little lamp here, under my back to feature hat, because I'm working on that this week, is the entire saga. It's all sitting right there, you know, just chilling there. So I wanted that to go in my collection. I thought, you know, my son's mother's turning a milestone I won't share live because she'll kill me, but It starts with a the English word for quattro and ends in 0. So I figured, okay, I gotta get her something special. So I said, hey, you hate surprises. I know you do. You hate knowing there's a surprise, but you don't know what it is. How would you like this for your birthday? So I got her the DVD.
Okay.
Had I waited 2 weeks and seen what you guys are going to unleash on the world, because, like I said, she brought me into this crazy world because of H2O.
Mm-hmm.
This perk you've got teased is amazing. I can't wait to see what the covers look like once they're like out there and ready to go, because I love the cover layout, the poster layout of H2O with everybody there ensemble. I think it's a great look, and it's going to be a great DVD Blu-ray cover for your movie as well. I can't wait to see how it turns out.
Yeah, no, we're really excited for that too. And I mean, obviously, you can probably guess, like, right on the front, like where Jamie Lee is going to be where Peter is, you know, right there. So,
For sure. Yeah.
you know, so we already know who's going to be leading the cover, and it's going to be Peter. And then obviously, like, so pretty much, like, for anybody that doesn't know, like, what the retro edition is going to look like, it's pretty much going to look exactly like that image does right there, with the cast from Halloween H2O. And then it's going to have the Haddonfield Nightmare cast. It's going to have a few members of the Haddonfield Nightmare cast. And then on the opposite side of the Blu-ray, it's going to have the now weathered H2O mask. So that's what the entire DVD cover is going to look like. And we're really excited to have Zach Francis, who is also one of the cinematographers on Charles. He is actually going to be the one that's creating all of our cover art for the movie, and everything like that. So Maggie is actually the one that created the cover for the Haddonfield Nightmare. My sister, she is the one that is responsible for taking those pictures and helping us get the front cover of the main Blu-ray of the Haddonfield Nightmare. But then Zach Francis is going to be helping us create the retro edition cover.
Yeah,
so
yeah, I was trying to find the H2O Blu-ray. I mean, like, if it looks anything like you're saying with the mask being, instead of the mask itself, instead of being the full Michael shot, that's gonna look flipping amazing, bro. It's gonna look so good. Oh my god. So yeah, and like I said, even the non-retro, like, I love this look. This is a cool look, and I'll tell you why. I don't know if you can see if I can do this without, you know, my shirt looks a lot like it. I love it. I love I love the half Michael. Like, they use that all the time. It really started with 4, where they kind of obscured his face a little bit. They like to obscure his face with the knife or just a shadow, and because he's a shape, he lives in the shadows. It's a great look, and so I'm glad I got that, because that's gonna look really sweet when I get my office at the other house finally set up and I get my displays up, because man, that's gonna look so sweet. Another perk I saw that I was like, man, if I had endless supply of a coin, whew, man, I would love to get my hands on this. Like, so how many did you end up using before it was all said and done? And how many do you? Well, I'm sure you got more to go here. So where are you looking to be as far as how many different coveralls you're going to end up using before it's all said and done?
I mean, really, he's actually been in the same pair the entire movie. Like, I mean, I have a pair. So, because there are some scenes. So there was actually one night. I portrayed the shape once, and it was in it was in my original fan film or whatever. But I actually have a few cameos in this movie as the shape. So I have a pair, and I'm shorter than the guy that plays Michael, believe me. But but we shoot it in ways that, you know, you can't tell. So I actually play the shape only a couple times in the movie. So I have a pair of coveralls that fits me. But like, I'm talking the ones that are on the campaign right now are the ones that are fitted by Connor Whitman, who plays Michael Myers. And I'm telling you right now, man, Connor is doing a freaking fantastic job as Michael. The one thing that, honestly, I sent him all of the trailer reactions that, you know, we compiled from the Haddonfield Nightmare. And I was just like, dude, are you seeing these? I hope you're seeing these, because everyone is saying that you're nailing it as Myers. And he literally texted me back, and he just felt so humbled, you know, just to be a part of the project, because actually, so this man that's playing Michael, I actually played college football with him. So, so he actually reached out to me, and he was like, yo, do you have any, like, you know, thing that you need for the movie? And I saw his height, and I was like, you know, I was like, how I was just like, I was like, how would you like to play Michael Myers? And he texted me back and he was like, bro, say less. He was like,
right, yeah.
So, and like, I mean, I'm talking like Connor is so dedicated to the role that like he would send me like screenshots and just like he would send me pictures of him, you know, studying the character. And like he would be like, yo, I'm watching H2O right now. Like he's like, I want you to be really hard on me and tell me like, you know, what I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong. And you know, we're helping him along the way because like, yeah, he likes Halloween, but you know, he wants to make sure, especially stepping into, you know, that's big shoes, you know, to play is Michael Myers. Cause
I'm on relatively good terms with Tyler Main. I have been, because he has a home out here near me, and he works out at the gym my brother works out at. So we've conversed there. This big 7-foot monster of a man was like nervous as a school child when I mean, I play Michael Myers, like, holy shit, like, jeez. And, you know, I mean, he's played Sabretooth, he's done all these great things. He was a former wrestler, and it's just that role, especially for horror fans, it's just so iconic. It's like putting on the hockey mask. It's like putting on the bladed glove. It's like, you know, getting that creepy Brad Dourif voice out of your own throat. It's just like, if you get there, it's like, okay, now I'm here. Oh shit, now what do I do? So I totally get where he's coming from. That's crazy. So I did want really quick here before we get to, I know you said you wanted to go an hour and kind of keep it near there. I wanted to, let me get a cover up so I don't look like a complete yutz here. Hang on one second. Let's do that.
No, yeah, you're fine.
I definitely want to share the trailer, because the trailer is so the minute long teaser, because it's so good. And if I wasn't already sold on the project enough, this definitely put me over the top. I can't even say that enough, how simple it is and how, like, you know, almost understated, for lack of a better term, but it comes off so well. So I definitely want to get it some airtime here. Let me just make sure I unmute everything.
Yeah.
Claude here, because I didn't want to do that. Stop that. Do that. There we go. Okay. All right. This is it. This was released. How long ago did you actually release the official teaser trailer? Like, when did it first go up?
February 1st is when it first popped up. So,
so literally 2 months tomorrow. That's awesome. All right, guys, check this out. This is so good.
Thank you. I love these costumes. Happy Halloween. Thank you. You're welcome. Bye. Thank you. Yeah. Bye. See ya.
Woo! I mean, the first few seconds, it's all happy and rainbows, and you got trick-or-treaters, and she looks to her right, and out in the street, there he is, and the shit's on. Here we go. It's like, okay.
Yep. No, I mean, we're, like I said, really excited. So I will say that we only have one more trailer coming for the movie. So we have to finish production. So we're going to be finishing production here in April, and then we're going to pretty much have everything done to where we can, you know, start putting together our final trailer. Now, since the movie isn't due out until October, pretty much like where we're at right now in terms of like timeline, we obviously have to come up with like our marketing strategy and how we want to market our movie and everything. So like that's pretty much like where we're at right now. Is like we're like heading back into production. We're going to finish that this month, and then all of our meetings here over at Bat Productions is pretty much about marketing and how we're getting all of our stuff together. Like, so that way, you know, obviously after the movie comes out, we want to make sure that we have your guys' Blu-rays shipped to you guys within like, you know, a month or so. Like, we're hoping to have all Blu-rays shipped out like by hopefully you guys have it by Christmas this year. You know, so we're hoping that we you know, can kind of treat you guys and get that to, like, you know, if you need any stocking stuffers or anything, then grab those. So
there you go. And full disclosure, like, now we've been talking for an hour. I'm thinking I'm gonna go back into the campaign and get the shooting script perk, because like I just want to have that, like, okay, here's what they were looking at for 2 years. Like, I want to see where it went from paper to screen, because that's always fascinating to me about films, because I love movies. I love the whole like layout of movie making. So I might want to I might get my hands on that. So one more person I want you to talk about before I let you go. The crew run sheet. Tell me about this guy. This guy seems like he just really he's giddy to be there, and he is taking on a massive undertaking, but he seems like he's raring to go and just willing to go all out to get it done.
Yeah, man. Like I said, this project, it has its ups and downs. You know, no film is ever going to go incredibly, like, especially as an independent filmmaker, when you are in charge of pretty much like talking to the locations, and you have to reach out and, you know, ask for permission for certain things. Because like with a Friday the 13th fan film or anything like that, you literally have the woods. You can go shoot in the woods. It's probably easier to secure locations. The one thing that I want everybody to pay attention to in this movie is just the vast amount of locations that we have. I mean, like, we filmed, like, we're going to have filmed in downtown areas. We're going to have filmed at bars. We're going to have filmed at a prison. We're going to have filmed in a classroom. I mean, there are so many different locations that we've had to, you know, meet and, you know, talk about this project with. And the most exciting thing is that just everybody has been so nice, like, talking to them. Like, they've really helped us in the best way that they possibly can help us. Like, you know, because they understand what we're trying to do. You know, because obviously that's one thing that you have to be able to talk about is like your project, and having everybody on the same page as to what's going to be going on, especially if you're renting out certain locations. So yeah, it's been a process, but man, like you said, I'm just really, really happy to be doing this. I'm glad that I have the opportunity to, you know, bring this story to life. It's a story that I've always wanted to see. And honestly, it wasn't really, I didn't know where I was going to go until I started writing the script. Like, I had that story and I was like, okay, where do I want to see John? Okay, this is where I see him. And then we're going to kind of fill in the pieces, you know, and kind of construct it from there. But I definitely think that, you know, I'll say this because my buddy, it's MISAEL, he talked to me about this. He said, Braden, I think the one thing that this script has is the overall theme is that you can never run away from, you know, your problems. You have to kind of attack them head on when they arrive. Otherwise, you know, they're just going to be there forever. And, you know, this really is going to be a film. It's going to be about family, and it's going to be about, you know, really confronting, you know, your fears as a person. So, you know, like, I mean, Michael Myers is that fear. So
he is the boogeyman. And, you know, H2O is very much like that. You know, Lori, you know, ran for 20 years and it didn't matter. It didn't matter. And it's like you said, and like I said, this is, I think, the one thread of all the threads that the franchise kind of left, you know, hanging there in, you know, cinematic purgatory, that I'm like, somebody please pick up John's story and let me know what happened to this guy. Because, I mean, you can't not be completely mind-effed, you know, with your mom lopping some other guy's head off and being institutionalized for the rest of her days. That's crazy. So, like, man, just can't wait to see how it lays out. I'm so glad I was able to reach out to you and get you on the show today. Thank you so much, Braden. I really appreciate it. Again, guys, go over to Indiegogo. Again, the logo is not current, it's not completely accurate, but there it is. There it is. The Haddonfield Nightmare, a Halloween fan film. Please support this. Do whatever you can. I was telling Braden out there, if I could afford it, I'd be, one of the guys doing the, I want to be the premiere thing because I want to see it first day. I want to have, I want to see what happens before anybody else does because damn it, I'm selfish like that. So I cannot wait. And I thank you so much for allowing me access and, an hour of your day. I know getting close to crunch time as you are, an hour can be everything. So thank you so much. And we really appreciate it. Don't forget, guys, tomorrow on the Jeff Meacham Network, we'll be having a double shot, God help me if we get it filmed, of trivia, actually of the Wrestling Rewind, and then trivia right after that. And then Friday, we go into Dad's, and then, my goodness, it's WrestleMania week next week, and I'm not going to sleep until next week, and I'm going to be tired. So thank you guys for watching this last hour. We'll see you tomorrow here on the network. Again, Braden, thank you very much. And for Braden, I am Jeff Meacham, and this has been Meach's Musings. We will see you guys next time.